Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the FPL Cartel podcast. I'm joined, as always, by my good mate FPL Tom, who told me this morning he's a little bit under the weather, so go easy on him this morning. I hope you're, other than that, all good, mate.
Yeah, I'm not too bad. I just caught a glimpse of myself in the on the stream. I don't look great.
I
You
look
can tell I'm
fine,
a
mate.
little bit
Don't
ill
worry.
today. But yeah, hopefully I'm still all right. I can still discuss some fantasy football, help people out with their picks and stuff, and yeah, just talk through my plans with my team and stuff like that. And like I said, just try and help as many as we can in today's stream. What about you? How you doing? How you feeling? How was your game week 11? Was it or game week 12? No, it was game week 11, right?
Yeah, I would say. I guess no one really, well, apart from you had probably had a stormer that game week with Michael Keane, didn't you? But yeah, I feel like it's just an average game week across the board, really, wasn't it? Saka, I think, well, we'll go through my team towards the end, but I think Saka sort of carried me, really. Most of the rest of my team, big, did Haaland score? Haaland scored, didn't he?
Haaland scored, yeah,
So we
but he
got
missed the
Haaland,
first
yeah.
penalty, so
Oh, yeah, we had two penalty misses in my team and Mark Gahey. That was my pain this week.
I feel like this week was either like you had a good week because you either had like Thiago, Keane, or Saka captain, and then if you didn't have any of those things, nobody else really did anything. So it
Exactly.
was like not a great week.
It's how it goes, mate. I've been gathering though. You have done some good analysis on some penalties that we can go through at some point as well. I've been quite intrigued to get your thoughts on that. Speaking of
Yeah,
missing penalties and all that.
yeah, I've been doing a little bit of a deep dive, and I've obviously been posting the results in the Discord and stuff like that because we've been saying for like a few weeks on here, like, oh, Brentford have just got this way of winning penalties. And I wanted to see if that actually stacked up. And when we come to the results, we'll see that it definitely does stack up. So Brentford know something, and I'm onto them. So we'll see what else I can find over the next few weeks as well.
Is that a case of a set piece coach playing for penalties in a way? Is it?
I guess so because you know they've got like an unbelievable record of winning penalties, and it's not just like one season where you go, oh, that's a bit of luck. You know what I mean? Where like some sides you just see it where they get like 10 one year, one the next year. Brentford are just consistently winning penalties, so there's something they know what to do with. Same with Brighton as well, but we'll obviously talk about that more in depth.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned the Discord there. This will be the final one of these podcasts we air for free. We just wanted to use it to announce that the FPL Cartel was running a 30-day free trial. The whole of this podcast will be behind a paywall next week. But the idea behind the FPL Cartel is it's an exclusive members only zone hosted by both me and Tom. Part of which you'll get this podcast exclusive to only members on a weekly basis, and it will all be managed inside a private Discord. We've already got some good members in there at the moment. There was some good chat going off yesterday. Me and Tom are in there monitoring it pretty much all the time, give you advice on your team, bit of chit chat. And yeah, I think it's proven to be quite useful already. I'm already getting, to be fair, even some of the members are giving me useful insight at the moment, which is useful. We all kind of bounce off each other.
Yeah, it's a good vibe at the moment in the community. So if you haven't already, like I said, come and check it out. There's a 30-day free trial, so you can literally experience what it's like to be in the FPL cartel. Like you said, you get access to this podcast as well, which from next week will be exclusive to the Discord. So yeah, I mean, what are you really waiting for? You've got that 30-day free trial. Come and take full advantage of it.
Absolutely. I was going to say something. Oh, and also being on the Discord, you have an opportunity to ask us questions that will be featured on the podcast as well. Obviously, everything will be behind the members only zone, but you get to ask questions, so we're able to actually like contribute sections to the podcast. We can prepare graphics and stuff to respond to your questions rather than just asking questions in a YouTube chat as well. So speaking of graphics that have been answering questions, I'm conscious you were saying you're under the weather, so I'll try and extract everything I can from you early on. Do you mind if we talk through your penalty data?
No, mate, let's go for it.
I've got your slide here where you talk about penalties since the 21-22 season and penalties during a season. You take it away.
Yeah, so this is obviously the penalties for column. So as you can see here, the first column in is just penalties since the 21-22 season. Now I've done this season as this is the first year that Brentford were promoted to the Premier League. And a lot of kind of the same teams were pretty much featured in there. So I'd say some things to obviously kind of exclude from your view. Don't look at like the Sunderlands, the Leeds, the Burnleys. There's only like a handful of seasons. So I don't think we've got enough data to probably build a kind of conclusive picture on penalties for this section. However, what we can see here is a pretty normal trend of your big sides win penalties. Obviously, your Chelseas, your Manchester Cities, your Liverpools, these top sides that dominate the ball, have more attacks than anybody else, score more goals than anybody else, interestingly, as well. So that for me makes sense. They're the best teams. They're going to be in the box more. They're going to probably win more penalties. Those make sense. The two outliners, especially towards the top, are Brighton and Brentford. 29 for Brighton, 27 for Brentford. It's an absolutely unreal amount of penalties for two sides that most of the time just hover around mid-table. I know Brighton had a European push a few seasons ago, but still, most of the time they're just kind of, just breaking into the top 10, that kind of position. To be winning those amounts of penalties is absolutely ridiculous. And it's not also just like a one-season fluke, because you can see from the most penalties chart, like you've got 8 and 7 in there. They're consistently winning penalties on a regular basis. So I think from this, obviously from research, those two clubs have a firm way of knowing how to win a penalty. And it doesn't surprise me given who their owners are. They're very, obviously, both of them have a betting background, both of them heavily reliant on data as well. Is it any surprise to see those two clubs leading the way for, the rest of the pack outside of the big boys? I don't think it's any coincidence. So I think from that, picking a Thiago or if Welbeck's on penalties, those are probably going to be more rewarding than maybe picking some other penalty takers from other clubs as well. I think Wolves on that graphic had like 9 penalties over 5 years. So I think, again, what we can build from this data is, yes, penalty takers are important, but I think certain players for certain clubs are more important. Because having the Wolves penalty taker feels a bit redundant right now. Like they're winning 9 penalties. It's not enough over 4 or 5 seasons here. Whereas if you're getting the Brentford penalty taker, well, we've all owned them at times this season and previous seasons. Your Tonys, your Mbuemos, your obviously Thiago's this season. Those guys are more fruitful because they're getting the opportunities to win these penalties as well. So I just think it's a really cool and interesting piece of kind of research, and definitely something I think I'm going to look for when I'm trying to select penalty takers for my sides as well, is not the ones that just have the penalties, but sides that can also win them as well.
Yeah, I really like it. I mean, my first instinct that came up when you were talking there was I didn't get him in the end, but I was quite close to picking Strand Larsen at the start of the season. Obviously, the Wolves penalty taker, and you look at this data, which wasn't really being shared or going around at the start of the season, that would have completely changed my decision on it. Like that would have, I know I didn't go with him in the end, but if I saw something like this, I'd be like, well, it's completely pointless even picking him because he doesn't win any penalties.
No. I think they've had 1 so far this season, so 8 in the previous 4 years. Like that's not enough for me to be making a player pick like that. So yeah.
Absolutely. And you mentioned, I flashed them up very quickly. You mentioned Brighton and Brentford's penalty takers. Thiago has obviously been pretty well. He scored 3 from 3, I think, hasn't he, so far this season? And Welbeck, I believe, is the Brighton penalty taker. I was talking about this on a video of mine this week, actually, and I've got. Well, I'm sure you have the same. I'm staring at Enzo Fernandez in my team. He's got, I think, Burnley next, hasn't he? So it's hard to sell him for that game, but I just can't stand the sight of having him in my team long term. And I think of other good options at that price point, like Iliman Ndiaye, Ismail Assar, both off to AFCON. I almost think in my mind, it always changes every week in my head, but the ideal team in FPL might well be a 3-4-3 with Haaland, Mateta, or 3 up front with Haaland, Mateta, and one of these blokes. What do you reckon to that?
Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind that. I probably would lean more towards Thiago ahead of Welbeck.
Yeah.
I just think for random reasons over the festive period, Welbeck will be benched in one of the games.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, like that midweek Premier League game, I think it's 14, so when he faces off against Villa, guarantees on the bench. 100% he'll be sat on the bench or maybe played reduced minutes. Just, that's it. I think that's just the nature because of his age.
Yeah.
Thiago, on the other hand, I think will probably play not every single minute, but will probably start every single game across that period. And a strategy that you maybe want to go for is a free hit in 14 anyway, if you were to go for him. Like, they've got Arsenal that week away, not the greatest. But maybe again, it could also work the other way, where he's a player that you never bench because Brentford do win so many penalties. Maybe playing him ahead of, like, if somebody's got like a Caicedo decision to be had, maybe looking at that penalty data and going, actually, I need to play Thiago every single week because, Brentford are just absolutely unreal at winning penalties. And they've started again already doing the same thing this year. 4 already this year. So they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, and I'd also suggest, I don't know, it feels like Brentford are, they are good against the top teams as well. You see Brentford you see them get beaten quite heavily at times, I guess, but they always seem to compete with the top teams. Like, you wouldn't put them off being, even, I know it's Arsenal at the Emirates, probably the toughest fixture you can get at the moment, but it wouldn't completely put off them scoring in that game, I don't think.
Well, they beat Liverpool earlier this year, right? And I think 2 seasons ago, they beat Pep home and away. Like,
They've got it in their locker, haven't they?
They are a side that know how to upset the odds. Same with Brighton, to be honest, as well. If you ever go through their results, there's so many strange ones where they'll lose to, like, a Fulham. Then the next week they'll roll out and dispatch City. They're a very, again, weird and inconsistent team. But yeah, I don't think I would be scared of playing Thiago against probably anyone, especially given that strong penalty record. I think just whack him in and leave him in for the remainder.
Absolutely. You also very kindly did us another penalty statistic as well, I'm pretty sure. Is this penalties conceded?
Yes, this is penalties conceded. So someone in the Discord, I can't remember who it was, asked me if I could look at penalties conceded as well. Just to kind of maybe say, is there a trend where picking a side potentially could be the play? Again, I think the standouts here are your top sides don't concede penalties, but again, that makes complete sense because they're not doing as much defending, they're going to be attacking. So your Cities, your Liverpools, these teams that have been winning titles over the past few years, no surprise to see them as some of the best sides. Then you've kind of got, again, Brentford as an outlier. Not only do they know how to win penalties,
any, do they? Yeah,
they don't concede any. So maybe, again, something to potentially note might be when you've got a penalty taker playing against Brentford. Maybe if you've got a bigger benching decision, potentially that's one where you maybe look against it, because they conceded 5 in the first season that they came up. When obviously they were newly promoted side. It's nearly half of them already gone.
Wow.
Straight off the bat. So they again, it's no surprise to me to see a club that is so heavily data focused, knowing how to win penalties and also knowing how to stop them. So they've got something going off in their locker. The interesting one for me were 2 sides that regularly give away penalties, and that is West Ham and Wolves. They're absolutely abysmal at it. Like, Wolves are god awful at giving away penalties. I don't know what they're doing. Interestingly, they haven't conceded one yet so far this season. So I think, obviously, Wolves is just a great fixture anyway this year. But I'm going to make a bold prediction. Mateta scores a pen against these lot. They're going to give away a pen against someone this season, and it will probably go it. Like, it's ridiculous how far they are away from, like, everybody else, really. You've got your West Ham, Brighton, and Wolves kind of in their own pack, and then everyone else kind of clusters back together. Like, maybe that's just luck rather than kind of anything we can really build on. There are clearly here better sides at it, so your top sides, which again makes sense.
Yeah.
And then there's just some absolutely god awful teams that, if I've got a penalty taker, I think we definitely should be rolling them out. Your Wolves, your Brightons, and your West Hams.
Yeah, I'd also note, I guess, how long have Forest been in the Premier League now? Because I know they've only conceded 19, but I guess that's kind of skewed by the fact they've not been in the Premier League the whole time. So they almost seem up there with sort of Brighton in terms of penalties per season, I guess.
Yeah, it was that 22-23 seasons, their first season.
Their first one in there, yeah, okay.
So pretty much, again, half of their penalties came in the first year. Since then, they have really locked it down in terms of giving away penalties.
Mate, that's some really good analysis there. Awesome work. We love that. I had a couple of other things to go through before we get on to, like, the Discord topics. Something I've seen spoken about quite a lot in my comment section anyway is Well, I made a free hit team on Sunday, and people were asking me or telling me I was cooked because I didn't have any Liverpool assets in my. Sorry, I wasn't planning to bring in any Liverpool assets into my team. They've obviously, we've got a couple of teams. We'll talk about Liverpool first in their upcoming fixtures. They're good, aren't they? But I'm stuck in my head at the moment with Liverpool because I could only really say with any sort of wholeheartedness that I want Van Dijk. There's no one
Yeah.
else from the Liverpool team that's exciting me at the moment. Despite what everyone's saying in my comment section, I couldn't say with any level of honesty I'd pick anyone bar Van Dijk at the moment.
No, I'm in complete agreement. To be honest, there's so much rotation within that attacking kind of lineup. You look at the fixtures that they've got coming up. Obviously, the midweek Premier League round. You've got 2 rounds of Champions League before Christmas as well. Like, there's a lot of rotation that's going to happen, and I think the player that's probably safest from that is Salah, but he's not delivering for a 14.2 million asset. And I think a lot of us would have to go in, rip apart their teams if they want to go and bring Salah in for this run. And he's just not in that form where it's worth ripping your whole team apart. Haaland as well is just an absolute joke at the moment. So there's no real rhyme or reason to go and rip your team apart or take him out. I was looking at it for my team. I think it would require Saka and Bruno to go just to get, and it's just like,
They could
that's
outscore
not
Salah this
worth
week,
it.
couldn't they? Yeah.
Exactly. 100%. 100%. I think on the Solio projected points, it was Salah, then it was Bruno and Saka, like 0.1 behind. I was like, why would I do it then? There's absolutely no rhyme or reason for me to doing it. I don't know if you agree with that.
I do. I definitely wouldn't spend my free transfers to rip up my team and get Salah. But this, you've moved this on nicely to another topic. Actually, I look at the games in Game Week 12, right, and you've also done some exceptional analysis on this, if I'm not mistaken. I look at the fixtures in Game Week 12, and I think, is this a week where you could use your free hit? You know, rip up your team for free and then have the same team the week after, right? And that all depends on, I guess, your view on whether you think Haaland can get any joy at St James's Park away at Newcastle. And then obviously, can Salah outperform him at home against Nottingham Forest? And then, of course, well, we may have like a return of Cole Palmer you could have against Burnley. You could obviously pick a couple of other Liverpool assets against Forest as well. Villa, they're seemingly in decent form at the moment. It's an opportunity to maybe get some of their players v Leeds. What are your thoughts on a free hit in 12? Obviously, you probably wouldn't have Haaland if you free hit in 12, so you'd have to go without him. What are your overall thoughts on that?
Yeah, I definitely think there's some really good fixtures to be targeting, to be honest. Would be interesting to see if Palmer's back for that game against Burnley. I don't have João Pedro either. I don't think you do. So
No,
that could be a nice pickup as well. In terms of the other fixtures, I guess you go triple Liverpool, right? Van Dijk, probably then Salah and Szoboszlai, potentially. I don't know.
He's a good shout because he's on 4 yellows at the moment. So like long term, Szoboszlai, I wouldn't recommend him to anyone. But if you're on your free hit, it doesn't matter if he gets a yellow card. He's gonna be fine.
No, what I did on my free hit video this week was I actually went for double United mid over going for Szoboszlai. Sorry, I couldn't get his name in my head. So I went for Brian Mbeumo, who currently is the 3rd best player for non-penalty XGI, just absolutely smashing it out of the park at the moment. Very highly owned as well. Could do some serious damage to a lot of people's rank. Then the other player that I went for was Bruno. And we know why that is. We're both big fans of Bruno, multiple routes to points. Again, he's just been ticking along very, very nicely over the past few weeks. So, yeah, I do think there's scope to it. Do you want me to go through the Newcastle dump I did yesterday?
If you're happy to read it out, mate.
Oh, mate, yeah. So again, like I said, this is one of the main reasons that we want people to come over to the Discord. Like, I'm always looking up stuff and kind of just, happy to put it into some context for people in a Discord, because it's kind of hard in videos, isn't it? I think you find that sometimes where you'll research something, but it's hard to convey it properly across in videos sometimes. So you can come and see the full dump I did on Newcastle's home record. Because I wanted to look, you obviously have been saying in previous pods, like, Newcastle have got a great home record. Definitely, St James's Park is a fortress. And I wanted to have a look if that was, just maybe a perception, or it was actually backed up by some facts. But you're all good. It was backed up by some very, very good facts. So looking at their home record, they only had 5 losses last season. They had the joint third for most home goals at 40 and the third best for goals conceded at home. So very, very good record. Season before that, 3 losses at home, 4th best record in the league. Joint second for most goals, again, third for most goals conceded. And then 22-23, only 2 losses at home, 14 goals conceded, the second best home defence, and they've only had 10 losses over those 3 seasons. There are a few clubs that obviously better that: Liverpool, City, Arsenal, and Aston Villa. But given what those sides have been doing in recent seasons, I think it puts Newcastle in very, very good company. So Haaland, is he, like I said on the free hit, is he worth not including? Because that record, very good for Newcastle. Very, very good indeed.
What did you tell me? He's only scored. Did you also say he's only scored 2 goals at St James's Park in his time?
He's only scored 1 goal against Newcastle.
Goal. Wow.
And that was at St James's Park in 21-22 or 22-23. So that's it. Just 1 goal.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I've come to a conclusion on it yet. And obviously, we're making this podcast in the middle of an international break, right? Anything could happen to the players that we'd look to pick on a free hit. But I just genuinely think it's a viable opportunity to use your free hit. Because when I look at my team, and I feel like I'm pretty much hugging the template at the moment in FPL with what my players look like, I imagine a large proportion of FPL players have a team that looks similar. Well, and of course your team as well. I just think I don't see another opportunity really to use the free hit that's like screaming out to me other than Gameweek 12, to be honest.
I think I've looked at 13 just because I've got a lot of players playing against each other. I think Arsenal play Chelsea that week. So that's the week that I think I'm looking at. But then that also means I don't get Haaland triple captain that week. So it's kind of one of those where, do I fix the team or do I give Haaland the triple armband? Like, which one's going to be more rewarding? And I think maybe it would be fixing the team rather than just relying on Haaland. I don't know what you think of that.
Yeah. I'm honestly stuck in 2 minds about it. I think I need another week of processing and then I'll have a meltdown half an hour before deadline. I think that's usually how my decisions work, mate. Thank you very much for that. That was some really good analysis again coming from the Discord. Really appreciate that. I was just going to quickly have a look at the chat if that's okay. See who we've got in there. I'm conscious we need to crack on and look at some Discord questions as well. We got Manojed, Baller X. I mentioned this while we were waiting to go live. He is tempted on Mbumo and one of your good pals, Coyote, the Brentford cannon of a long throw guy. Arcanos bench Semenyo for Caicedo. No regrets. Fair enough. I think unlucky on the Semenyo. Well, lucky for you on the Semenyo missed penalty, I guess.
Yeah.
Manoj asking Foden or Saka as a transfer in. If I go Foden, I'll get Rice in for Enzo after a few weeks. If I get Saka, I've got to look into a different type of replacement for Enzo. I guess Saka personally.
I'd still go Saka. Yeah.
What else we got? Oh, okay. Chelsea fans. He's also saying Chelsea fans think Enzo won't start the Leeds game as they have Barca midweek, followed by Arsenal at the weekend, and then the following midweek is Leeds, so they think he'll get benched again. Interesting. I mean, it's the time of rotation at the moment, isn't it? I think post this break.
Yeah, I saw Andy Martin's tweet on that. Like you said, they've got Burnley, then Barca, then Arsenal, and then I think they've got another midweek round, Leeds, after that. So, like, there's a lot of games coming up for them. And obviously, you prioritise the Barca and the Arsenal game. The other two, I think you can just roll out a week aside. And we have seen that in the Champions League already this season with Maresca, just making wholesale changes. So wouldn't surprise me to see it against Burnley or Leeds, to be honest.
And he's got players, I think he's got players who have sort of proven themselves to be able to play in those 2 midfield spots in the absence of maybe a Enzo. I reckon Caicedo probably plays it all, but Enzo, I think, could be, they've got some players that can take his place. We got Paul in the chat. I saw your link to the cartel. I'll just pin that message. So yeah, we spoke quickly about the FPL cartel at the start of the stream. I'll just go through it again for new members. So Tom and I have started the FPL cartel, which is, you can probably guess by the branding of the podcast. It's a members only area. There's a link pinned in the chat and at the top of the description for you to check it out, as we're offering a 30-day free trial at the moment. As part of that, you'll get yourself an exclusive weekly podcast, a private Discord where everything's managed. So from next week onwards, this live stream, this podcast will be managed through the Discord. So we'll send a private link out. So only people with access to the link in the Discord can get onto the podcast. And yeah, it's a members-only area. We've had, as you mentioned, Tom, some good chat in there already. Tom shared some really good data and statistics. And yeah, it's just been a good place to be for the last week. So if you fancy some of that, link at the top of the description to join the FPL Cartel. What else did we have? Jack Collins, I'll answer one final question. Is it wild to bench Calafiori, Gabriel and Voltemada this week? The rest of my players, there's a lot to take in here. Sorry. Chalobah, Guehi, Senesi, Saka, Semenyo, Sarr, Gakpo, Caicedo, Haaland and Welbeck.
Right, Newcastle have got City, so the Voltemada one makes sense. Arsenal against Spurs. Spurs are not good at creating opportunities, by the way. They're like right down there. I think they've maybe got I think Leeds are above them in terms of expected goals created so far this season.
I'll have a look.
I can't remember off the top of my head. I know someone's above them, and I was like, "Oh Jesus!" But they're down there. Like they don't create opportunities. They don't create good underlying data. And I think all you've got to look at is that game against Chelsea, where they created 0 expected goals. I think Arsenal are going to just nullify them. They'll absolutely keep them at bay.
Yeah, they're 14th in the league for expected goals.
Yeah, it's not good, is it, at all? So, yeah, I would feel... I think even on my free hit, I still put Gabriel in because I was like, I don't see Spurs scoring. I really don't. Maybe that could be an oversight from me, but I just think, obviously, looking outside of the fixture, looking at the data, it just, to me, signals that if any other side was 14th for expected goals going up against Arsenal, would we be scared of playing the defenders? Probably not. That's how I feel on that one.
Yeah, I agree with you. Speaking of questions, I'm going to move on to a section where we look at some questions we had from Discord. So we've got Jake, who's asked the first question in the Discord. I gather he said this morning he's an HGV driver, so he can't take part in the chat, but he's listening apparently. So I hope your travels are going well, Jake. So he's asked, we kind of covered this sort of when we talked about Foden, but it does look like Man City have got some good fixtures coming up. So he's asked, what are our general thoughts on Man City assets? He said, might sound crazy, but I'm considering Timber down to Diaz from Gameweek 13 for a 3-game punt. He feels like Arsenal are more likely to concede over the next few fixtures. He'd rather spread the risk than 2 defenders from the same team. And yeah, Diaz does look, I mean, there's always been a debate of pet roulette and stuff, but Diaz does look pretty much nailed on to start for City at the moment. Do you have any thoughts on City?
Yeah, I think Ruben Diaz could be a decent little pickup. I'm just looking at his minutes now. Since game week 3, he's pretty much played 90 across the board, right? So minutes look decent. I think that's not probably a concern. Defensive contributions, only twice though. That would worry me a little bit. City as well don't score from set plays. Like they've actually got pretty terrible XG from set plays as well. So there's not, for me, more than that you're just solely relying on clean sheets. And that does just feel a little bit empty, especially in the game right now. I feel there's just so many better defenders that just have so much more routes to points. Like every single week, you can roll out a Senesi or an Anderson, and you know they're probably going to come away with 3-4 points because they'll hit DEFCON. And I think that will just tick along, and there will be the occasional time where they do keep a clean sheet. Yeah. And I think Arsenal as well. I think people are maybe being a little bit reactionary to the Sunderland game. Sunderland still, I think, barely created over 1 XG.
It's one game, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
And I think I said this on the pod. I was like, there will be a game where they will just concede. That's just going to happen. Like they're never ever going to just keep clean sheet. But the data is still so good, and it blows everybody out of the water. I still don't really see the need to maybe move out 2 defenders right now. I don't know what you think on that one.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with you as well, to be honest. I'm looking at the Man City have now replaced Newcastle as the second best team in the league for expected goals against. So they are second best defence in the league, but they're on 11 and Arsenal are on 7. So it's nearly that the gulf is huge. I can't do a screen check because I don't have enough monitors. But yeah, I mean, there's barely anything between Man City and even go down to sort of Everton, Man United down in sort of 13th, 14th. The difference between Man City and being sort of 17th in the league is still smaller than the difference between them and Arsenal. That's how big the gulf between Man City and Arsenal is defensively at the moment. So yeah, I personally, I wouldn't do it. And I'd always go back to it's not a data driven philosophy, but it's just something I say when people ask me about transfers. I call this sort of a luxury move where you're moving out one player who is playing for a good team, who you know has a historical record of doing well in FPL. You're moving them out for another player with similar attributes just because you think over the short term that player is going to score more points. That just never works out for me, ever, in FPL. Usually what happens if I bring them in and they get injured, it just never works out for me. And then especially if you're planning to bring him back in, you're also using 2 transfers to do it all. I guess the only thought that's in my head is at the moment, and I don't know about, I'm sure you'll be in a similar position at some point. I'm going to have so many transfers in FPL, I'm not going to know what to do with them as time goes by with AFCON coming up. So I guess luxury transfers, if there was ever a time, it's right before you get your 5 AFCON transfers, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, it is indeed. I'm just looking at City's fixtures, seeing when they might maybe rotate. And not going to lie, game week 14, sorry, could be a week where they maybe do it.
I haven't got the dates.
They've got the Sunderland game, and they've got Fulham, Sunderland, and then Real Madrid. So, yeah, that feels like a lot of fixtures in a short amount of time as well. We're definitely getting some Pep roulette over Christmas. It's going to happen.
Yeah, and I think, you say, I'm not trying to shoot him down at all, but we say that Diaz obviously looks the most now. I think it's absolutely fair enough based on what we've seen. You can't deny that. But I think even he's not safe from a bit of Pep roulette. You think they've got, Kuzanov, Guardiola, John Stone seems to be back and somewhat fit again. Multiple players who can play at centre-back, right? So you could definitely see Ruben. There's probably another one I'm forgetting about. Maybe. I can't think now. But yeah.
Did you say Nico Riley?
I didn't know. Can he play centre-back as well?
I don't think he can play centre back, but I know his minutes are very good at the moment.
Yeah.
Like people are loving him.
That is true. Yeah.
Again, I'm not going near it. I'm just not going to go near it at all. Yeah, he played a lot of decent minutes and been hitting some big peaks as well. 11 against Liverpool, 11 against Everton, 8 versus Bournemouth. So, but again, I'm not going near it. I think realistically, Haaland maybe gets an early sub in one of these games. Maybe it's the Leeds game, because they've got to give him a break at some point. Like they've got Real Madrid, they've got Bayern Leverkusen in the Champions League as well. They've got Carabao Cup week before Christmas as well. Like all the midweeks are taken up over the next few weeks. There's going to be a game that Haaland will either get an early sub or probably sit out. Now, it probably will be the EFL Cup games and maybe the game against Leverkusen, but still. There's some tasty fixtures in there from an FPL perspective, but also Pep's looking at those and going, there's some nice rotation fixtures in there for me.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Our next question was from Carnifex in the Discord. I was laughing under my breath because one of the scenes is it's the first 5 letters of Semenyo's name, which is quite a funny thing to read on my screen. But so he's asking, is it time to start talking about Semenyo out? He's owned him since Gameweek 1. Doesn't know how many more points he'll be squeezing out of him in the remaining games. I can take that one first if you want.
Go for it.
You've got 2 players at that price point now who are genuinely pickable options, right? You've got him and you've got Brian and Bumo. The fixtures for Man United are really, really good until like the 7th of January. The toughest 2 games they've got are on the 21st and 26th of December when they play Villa and Newcastle. Other than that, I think the run of fixtures is really good. So there's genuine opportunity to maybe have Mbumo over Semenyo. But it goes back to the old adage that I just mentioned about Man City defenders. You sell Semenyo to get another player in. Even Semenyo's fixtures are really good coming up as well. Man United, they got West Ham, Sunderland. I know we spoke about Sunderland being good, but Arsenal still scored 2 goals past them. You're only worried about attacking returns for Semenyo. Everton, then they got Chelsea and Man United. I still think he can pick up returns in all of those games. I guess one benefit might be lost from him in the sense that he missed a penalty against Villa. And I guess maybe Kluivert wasn't in that game, was he? So maybe Kluivert is still the the number one Bournemouth penalty taker. I just couldn't bring myself to sell Semenyo though. Is what I'm getting towards.
Yeah, Clivert went off about 2 minutes before they won the penalty.
Okay. So they're still inconclusive then.
I still think it'll be probably Clivert, and after that miss, definitely going to be Clivert if he's on the pitch. Maybe even Evan Nielsen goes back to being the second choice penalty taker now. Started the season last year as the main penalty taker, missed one, and then was replaced. So maybe we might see Semenyo drop down the pecking order. The concern I have is the past 3 games, his underlying data has been pants.
Okay.
Like, I don't think it's above like 0.2 XGI.
Let's have a look.
It's not good. Like, if you exclude the penalty, open play non-penalty XGI is like really bad.
Right.
Really, really bad. That is where my concern lies, especially when you've got Brian, who's just like absolutely smashing it in terms of that metric. Looks like United's best player and looks full of confidence.
Got his pants in it, yeah. His only XG was from the penalty. He got nothing other than that. Wow.
Literally. It is bad. It is bad. And I think that's why a lot of people might be looking him on. But I think I'm going to keep him because I don't think selling a guy who is going to play 90 minutes ahead of Christmas is a wise decision. Like, I think during this period, you want to try and get as many 90-minute men as possible. Semenyo 100% is that. And the fixtures aren't terrible. West Ham, Sunderland, Everton is the next 3. Completely fine. Maybe after that point, we do look to potentially offload him with some more difficult games coming up. But for the next 3, I do just think you maybe just stick it out with him. Play a guy that is going to get 90 minutes. But I think if I had the money right now and I didn't have any United mids, I probably would move to Brian and Mbeumo.
Yeah,
I really do. 'Cause I think his minutes look great. You can take him out when you get your AFCON transfers. So I think it's quite an easy player that you can just switch out, to be honest.
Yeah, I like it, mate. I like it. And yeah, I mean, I'm looking at his stats in FPL tells you his minutes. He has not missed, well, I assume he may have been subbed at added time. I'm not entirely sure on that, but every single game says 90 next to it. So, I mean, 11 games, 90 minutes. They're obviously not in Europe as well. I think that's a nice bonus to have. Yeah, I would agree with you. But I guess Man United and Brian and Mbeumo, right?
Yeah.
What else have we got? So thank you for that question, Carnifex. Hopefully that helps you. Sean, who I believe is your good flatmate. And I think it's a very cool question that he asked, to be fair, because it's something that was in my mind. Would you consider swinging back to Aston Villa assets? I know they've started off slow, but they've had 4 wins in their last 5. Watkins has been pish, so obviously I don't think he's an option. But I would say Rodgers, he's looked very influential in Villa's games. We all know what he did last season. I can't believe he didn't get awarded an assist in the game. That was mental. I think if he was more owned, FPL might have folded in giving him one. But yeah, I mean, he passed the ball to Onana. Onana took like 1 touch and then took a shot, and he didn't get the assist.
Yeah,
I don't know what happened there. But what do you reckon on Villa?
They do have the fixtures, but we've been here before with Villa and fixtures, haven't we? Leeds, Wolves, Brighton, Arsenal, West Ham as their next 5. Like, the Arsenal game's probably the most difficult. The rest there, you do see a lot of good potential where they could absolutely go and smash it. Like you said, Watkins ain't that guy. I think he's like 1 in 17 in terms of goals, so nowhere near you going near him, especially with the quality of like Mateta, Thiago, Welbeck. I would prefer to have him by side than him. Rodgers, like you said, is probably the one. I think he's got like 1.81 XGI non-penalty. Like, again, it's just not like anything special. For, I think, what is he now? Like 6.8 million?
Yeah.
He's not really pulling up any trees, but maybe this is the time to go for him. Maybe, I remember his data last year looked pretty similar. It wasn't amazing. The fixtures are there. So maybe if people are looking for an Enzo replacement, maybe somebody like a Morgan Rodgers could be that differential pick over the next few weeks.
Yeah, and we were talking about when we went through the Game Week 12 free hit. I do think, because they got Leeds away, I do think there is potential to pick him if you're on a free hit. I think that's a nice 1 week safe-ish punt to do it. So, yeah, that's probably where I'd go. For me, it's a bit more of a wait and see. There's one more asset as well. There'll be a video coming out on my channel later today about hidden gems and differential players. Buendia, I know his minutes have not been great, but he seems to be the best Villa attacker in terms of actual return so far this season. So, I mean, if you want to take a big risk, he could be an option. He's only 5.3 million, I think, And I think Villa's upturn in form has, I don't know, somewhat coincided with him getting some minutes. I don't know if that's a fair correlation or not.
Oh yeah, I think that makes sense. Like I think every game that he's obviously played over the past few, he's had an influence on. So makes sense.
We got one more question from Jake. We kind of discussed this already when we went through the Liverpool fixtures, but he's asked, is there a case for double Liverpool defence? And is Szoboszlai being overrated as a possible pick just to get in a Liverpool midfielder? He's only got 1 goal, 1 assist, and his defensive contribution points have mainly come from playing right back.
Yeah.
Do you want to go?
I don't
Go.
think I would go anywhere near double Liverpool defence. They've not shown enough for me to justify that. And I think with Szoboszlai, now he's on 4 yellows.
He's not pickable, is he?
No, I really wouldn't go near him. I think you need as many players available to play over this busy period. And if you've got a guy that might pick up a suspension while he's got good fixtures, what's the point? Like, genuinely, what's the point in picking him?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. We spoke about the Liverpool fixtures earlier. Genuinely, the only Liverpool player I'd pick right now, if I was just using free transfers, is Van Dijk. I think he ticks all the boxes, fairly similar to Gabriel, except the defence is probably not as well. It's obviously not as good as Arsenal, but he's going to keep some clean sheets in the upcoming games. He's obviously offering goal threat. He had the ball in the back of the net, didn't he, against Man City, but it was ruled out, obviously controversially, as I saw on Twitter. And he gets DEFCON. He's one of the leading defenders in the game for DEFCON. I think he's even better than Gabriel, if I'm not mistaken, for DEFCON as well. So Van Dijk's the one, and he's obviously going to play every game for 90 minutes because that's just what Van Dijk does. But outside of that, nothing for me. I don't think I'd be going there. And we had one final question in the Discord from Gunner's Girl. So she was planning to wildcard in Gameweek 13, but with no clear picks at Man City or Liverpool, excluding Haaland, do you think she should wait until later so you can set yourself up for the second half of the season, and you can of course carry over your AFCON transfers for the Christmas period? I mean, I saw your team, Amanda, because you sent it in the chat. If I was using a wild card, I don't think my team would be too far off who she's got in there already. But what do you reckon on a wild card?
I think this is obviously one of the weeks that people had earmarked was game week 12, with obviously some big fixture swings coming up for Liverpool and obviously City. But the way that Liverpool have started this season, like, it's kind of killed that dream, really, hasn't it? Maybe you could take that punt and maybe you could reset the dice and really go for the Liverpool players and hope that maybe Salah regains some form before AFCON. But I think I probably would be looking maybe to use it potentially after the AFCON transfers now, heading into the new year, and kind of set yourself up for that period, and then use the second wild card to look for the doubles and blanks when we inevitably get them. So I think that's probably the strategy that I would go for. I don't have a week in mind. I think somebody maybe said like 17 there was a good swing. Let me have a look at the fixtures. What have we got here? Trying to see where City have got just great fixtures across the board. Yeah, it's a difficult. It's like there's no real like big swings I can see, like just first glance. So again, that's where you usually go with your wild cards, isn't it? Is kind of that. But maybe just keep it in the back pocket if you pick up a load of injuries as well. Could just be a get out of jail free card and reset yourself. So I think I probably would just hold it and use my transfers up to the AFCON ones, play a little bit more dicey, get your 5 for AFCON, and then wildcard around 18 and just set your team up for the kind of the second half of the season. I think that's probably the play I would go with.
Yeah, I mean, I would almost take a just and this is fueled by what you've just spoken through, Tom. I would almost see the wild card as just a week of free transfers that you don't have to spend. So you don't. I feel like people that are in a luxurious position where they've still got their wild card to use, right? You're going to feel almost inclined to change a load of your players just because you're on your wild card. Whereas actually, and you spoke about fixture swings there. We covered City, Liverpool, Man United have got good fixtures, but realistically, you're only picking 2 players from United at the moment, in Bruno, really. I don't think even the fixture swings don't interest me that much. And also, the players that I've got in my team at the moment, I'm not necessarily like all that bothered about who they're playing against. Unless they've got Arsenal away, I'm happy to pretty much start them every week. So yeah, I mean, I think there's almost a different mindset to adopt about your wild card in that if you, it's just you can even just use 2 transfers on your wild card, but it saves you from using 2 transfers, right? I wouldn't worry about it too much. You could even leave it until 19 and then make some luxury moves and just save your transfers. I think that's genuinely viable as well.
Yeah, I think the other thing that I always recommend to people, like on the deadline streams, whenever they're considering maybe using a wild card, is build your ideal team for the next few
Yeah, I like
weeks.
it.
And how many transfers would that take to get that in? Like, if you can do that with your transfers you've got, save the wild card. If you can't, then maybe just look to activate it.
Yeah, I really like that, mate. Do we have any more Discord questions? I think we covered everything there for this week. Should we have a look at our teams?
Let's go for it, mate. Let's go for it.
Got me to go first? You to go first? I'll leave it up to you.
I'll let you go first. I'll let you go first.
All right. So here we are. So on the left is the points that I scored in obviously Gameweek 11, and then looking ahead to Gameweek 12, my team is on the right. So I'm on 40 points. I didn't put my overall rank on there. I think I'm 273k overall at the moment, so not too bad. Even a low scoring, well, I'd consider 40 points a relatively low scoring week. I think I only dropped about 10k in rank, so it's not going to complain too much at all. Blanks across I say blanks. Raya and Gabriel, obviously, with 1-pointers. Senesi conceding 4 goals to Villa, but still getting 2 points. That was a bit of a shock result for me. I was not expecting Bournemouth to get smashed by Aston Villa, but because it's a shock result, I think I'll let them off. Yeah. Anderson, 3-pointer, another DEFCON. Unfortunately, he had to come in for Gahey, who picked up a bruise on his on one of his feet bone that Glasner was saying in the pre-match. He was actually on crutches for the last couple of days before the game. And obviously, none of that information got out until about 5 minutes before the Palace game lineups were coming out. I mean, it's just unlucky, isn't it? But I remember you being in my head about going for Gahey and the sheer fixture volume they've got. So I'm remembering that. My midfield, we had Njai, Enzo, both got 3 points. Saka with a 12-pointer. He hit DEFCON again. So I'll tell you what, Saka's looking better and better as the weeks go on. I was originally kicking myself for removing Gyökeres for Saka because Gyökeres has scored in weeks when Saka hasn't since I've owned him. But I think what we're seeing from Saka is a guy that can obviously get attacking returns, and he's becoming one of those players with multiple routes to points, I think, isn't he? That's what we all know and love in FPL. Bruno and obviously Semenyo. Haaland missed a penalty as well, and Mateta. So I had 2 penalty misses. An annoyance with Gahey not being in the team, but still 40 points. My rank's okay. I'm just looking ahead to next week, and I did a transfer plans video on Monday, and I'm completely in 2 minds about what I do with my team. I see like 3 genuine routes at the moment. One of them is to play the free hit in Game Week 12, Captain Salah, and I've already done a free hit draft video, so you can see what my team looks like for that. So I've got that in mind. Another move I was thinking, and it's probably not wise to do it, well, it is wise if we don't think Enzo's going to play, is to make a couple of transfers to change my formation. So I would sell Krupi Jr. to Igor Thiago, and I would sell Enzo to like a Freddie Potts from West Ham. And then that would, I think, give me almost a wild card draft, or I just do nothing and roll. So that's kind of where my team's at and what I'm thinking. Any thoughts from you, mate? I know we've still got quite similar teams, but hopefully we're starting to be a bit different at some point.
No, I like the Freddie Potts shout. He looks all right. Hits DEFCON, has corners. So for bargain bottom price, you ain't complaining with that. I think you could very easily roll. Like if Enzo and Gabe are fit and available, it is a very easy roll. But I understand the temptation to maybe look at that free hit as well. Like it could be a week where you go with it. It's a big swing and it really pushes you up the ranks.
Yeah. So we'll see. And to be honest, I know we're making FPL content and stuff, but it is the international break, so there's anything could happen in this time. I think just having an extra week to sort of feel out my decision making and stuff, it will help. So that's kind of where I'm at with my team. Quick look at yours, mate, and I'm sure you're sleeping in Michael Keane bed sheets this week, I reckon, aren't you? From the Everton store.
Oh, Michael Keane is just unbelievable. By the way, I nearly crashed my car when he scored. I was off to go and pick up Matcha Mills, who's also in the Discord chat, was on my way to pick her up from work. And I got to a roundabout and they cut to the Everton game, was like, oh, there's been a goal at Everton. And the guy was like, I think it's Michael Keane. And I'm like in the car, like, come on, Michael Keane. And then I look down to just double check. And then I like look back up and I'm like, I'm on a roundabout. What am I doing? Just like, if I'd have had a crash, what would have I said to the insurance form? Just like, yeah, Michael Keane was the reason of the crash. That's all I'd have to say. But
Have we got any car insurance brokers in the chat? Hopefully we can. We might be able to use one of them next year.
Exactly. But yeah, outside of Michael Keane and Saka, a little bit of a disappointing week. But like, I had Michael Keane. That's it really. Semenyo missing his penalty was frustrating. Haaland as well. But in terms of it, it was a very good week for me. I think I went up to like 600k.
Awesome, mate.
So a 350k rank rise. Like I'm starting to put in the good miles now. Starting to get some big greens. I'm disappointed Haaland missed, to be honest, because I was in the top 500k when he, if he'd have scored that penalty. So that would have been nice. That'd have been a nice way to go into the international break. But still, I'm happy where I'm at. Like some other content creators are getting absolutely blitzed at the moment and are still like back in the millions. So to be, 600k heading into game week 12 in the busy festive period, I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. In terms of the team, I've looked at some maybe routes to Brian and Buemo. It would be Semenyo out, Brian in. I should have, if I wanted to do it, I probably should have done it already because of the price rise.
Yeah.
Absolutely did me in because I was going to do Enzo then down to Minter, but I can't do that. So I'm looking at it and I'm going, right, I need to find 0.1 and I don't really know where I could find 0.1. It could be Semenyo to Mbuemo, Enzo down to Minter, and then Senesi to a 4.5, maybe like a Richards potentially. I don't know, but I don't really want to go towards Palace. But that's where I'm at, and that would use all my free transfers. But is it worth free transfers? I don't know. I don't know what you think on that.
I just go back to that luxury transfer point I made earlier.
Yeah.
And I know we've probably got the opportunity to make them, to be fair, but you said you just remind me, you're thinking of selling. If you make those moves, you'll have to sell Senesi and Semenyo. Yeah. I don't know. I've got full faith in those two guys. I got to say, I still think obviously Semenyo's dropped off, but Senesi's just printing points, isn't he?
Yeah. I don't know. We'll have a think about it. I do really want Brian and Buemo at the moment. But yeah, we'll see how things go.
Okay. I guess we should finish off by we could talk about the cartel again very quickly, and then we can take some questions from the chat to round off the stream.
Mm-hmm.
So we got 78 people in it at the moment. So hopefully there's some new people in. So this isn't repeated to too many. But yeah, this is the FPL Cartel podcast, if you couldn't already tell. Next week, this will be behind our membership paywall. So this is the final one of these that will air for free. But yeah, there's a link. Tom's just posted it in the chat. I've put it as the pinned message and it's at the top of the description. The FPL Cartel, first of all, is free for the first 30 days. On it will be an exclusive weekly podcast. This podcast will be exclusive to Cartel members. A private Discord, so this is a members-only community. There'll be real-time chat. Both me and Tom are in there all the time. We've got a good group in there already. We'll give you some FPL advice and just general chat about football and a bit of banter as well. And I think one thing we haven't covered yet that we think is a benefit to you is Tom and I usually go quite early with our deadline streams. Usually we'll do the couple hours before the big guns start. And then in that couple-hour window between us finishing and the big gun starting, in order to get that kind of direct FPL team advice, probably need to send a super chat. Whereas I'd like to think the FPL Cartel is about what you'd spend on a super chat, but you have it for the whole month. So I think it's really good value for money for what you're getting. And yeah, as we said, there's a link at the top of the description below. And I'm very excited, mate. We've got some members in there now. Everything's working. We've got everything set up so people can join. I'm just really excited to get going with the Cartel now.
Yeah, it's been really good in the chat, to be honest. Lots of, like you said, good information flowing about, people helping each other out as well in the chat, reviewing teams, good with the questions as well for the podcast. That was some great questions that people had for it. And yeah, it's just a good vibe in there. And like you said, it's completely free for 30 days. So come and just try it out. Even if you're not 100% sure, I guarantee after the 30 days, you're going to be like, okay, this is quite good. So just come in, try it out, see if you like it. But I think you will. So no dramas on that one.
Lovely. Let's have a quick look and see what have you got some final questions in the chat before we wrap up. Thank you, Josh. Wishing us luck with the cartel. I'm confused. Okay, so he is thinking of doing Enzo and Ismaila Sarr. Oh, sorry, Enzo and Iliman Njai to Ismaila Sarr and Szoboszlai, or just doing Enzo to Sarr. Nah, mate. I've read that question. I'm just thinking, no. Szoboszlai's on 4 yellows. Enzo, Iliman Njai, I think, is the best player at that price point. I don't know how you feel, Tom, but he's my personal favourite. And selling Enzo Fernandez when he's playing Burnley, even I spoke about my team and I said I'm considering doing it. It feels hard to sell the guy ahead of playing Burnley, to be honest.
Yeah, they are the worst side in the league for XG conceded. I don't think you can say I'm taking a player out ahead of that and feel good about it. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I'd agree. Dazza was hoping we'd be in cartel fancy dress. Maybe next week we could present it in a suit. I've only got one suit though, and that suit is it's got multiple occasions it's got to be used in coming weeks. What else have we got? Someone just bigging up Michael Keane, the GOAT. Oh, mate, Michael Keane. Don't get me started on
player
Michael
ever.
Keane. What else we got? Oh, we've already answered that one. So Zate to me looks like he's in a very luxurious position, where he can sell Joe Rodon to a Liverpool defender. And he's saying, should he sell him to Van Dijk or Bradley? Van Dijk.
Van Dijk, yeah, 100%. Bradley got absolutely skinned alive by Jeremy Doku over the weekend. Like, he looked washed. I'm saying it now. Conor Bradley's going to end up playing like Championship football in a few years. He got absolutely skinned alive. Yeah, he got skinned alive by Jeremy Doku. He looked terrible.
There's a meme going around about the ages of fullbacks that Jeremy Doku cooks or something, isn't there? But he was another option. We spoke about Man City players, and I completely forgot to mention Doku. I get the sense that, you know, when a player first signs for a Pep team, they take 1.5, 2 seasons to get going. I tell you what, I've been really impressed with Jeremy Doku this season. He's looked pretty dangerous, and I think Pep, the minutes have been pretty good as well. I think Pep's been liking him as well. What are your thoughts on Doku, if you have any, as an option in FPL?
Jeremy Doku was my least favourite footballer in the Prem. He was.
His minutes aren't great, actually. Looking at them.
No, yeah, I was gonna say his minutes are like all over the shop. But when he does play the full 90s, he hits big scores.
Yeah.
But again, you just enter in Pep Roulette, and you're just like, for 6.4 million, nah, not for me. Not for me. I'd rather, like I said, have an Iliman and die, probably even a Minter that I know I can just wheel out every single week, and I've not got to like check the lineups and stuff like that. But he definitely has improved, and probably is one of City's best players this season. Just looks like he's got the confidence to beat his man and not do like the silly stuff which he's done in previous years, where like he goes back and tries to beat him again and stuff like that. So I think his end product has definitely improved. So maybe later in the season, when City just have, you know, a good run, maybe less obviously minutes in Europe in midweek, might be an option at some point this season. But for right now, probably not. Maybe a gamble on like a free hit if you go in 13 with Leeds. That could be maybe where you pick up Jeremy Doku.
Yeah, I agree. I saw a question related to a free hit. Speaking of free hits, someone's asked about potentially free hitting in game week 15, because there seem to be some good fixtures to target in game week 15. You got Liverpool away at Leeds, Man United away at Wolves. Who else we got? City at home to Sunderland, Newcastle at home to Burnley. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not massive on those fixtures. They're all right. They're all right. What do you think?
I think if they were like the other way around, like if they were home fixtures,
yeah,
I think I'd be a lot more tempted. But yeah, I think I'll have to look at Ellen Road, and maybe that's got like a similar effect to St James's Park. It's just a horrible place for teams to go.
It is. Yeah, my team, Bristol City, we played them when they won the when they knew they'd secured. I think they either knew they were champions or secured promotion from the Championship last season, and it was our probably worst performance of the entire season, just because the place was so intimidating in Horrid.
Yeah. So again, I think that's maybe one of those where someone maybe wins like 1 or 2-0 there. I don't think Leeds get walloped at home this season.
No, I'd agree. One more question, if you've got one. What are people saying? Any news on Pope? Is he injured? Ramsey came on for him last week.
He got a concussion.
Yeah,
so
he
should
got
be
the
back.
concussion, didn't he? Yeah, forgot about that.
Yeah, he'll be back. They've got 2 weeks, so he'll be fine.
You threw me off there, mate, because someone said Ramsey in the chat, and I remember Jacob Ramsey came on as a sub in that game as well, because Joe Linton. Oh, I don't know if you saw it. Did you watch the game and see Joe Linton's crap?
Yeah,
Oh,
I did.
It was minging. So yeah, it threw me off because I remember Jacob Ramsey came on for him as well. Final question. Oh, his name's written in Cyrillic, so I can't understand the name, I'm afraid. But he's asking Saka to Salah and Pedro to Mark Gu, or Pedro to Gu and Reinders to Bruno. And the next week you can do Tarkowski to Van Dijk. I think Reinders, if you can make a move, I probably wouldn't even do it this week actually, because Pedro's got a good game. But if you can do those moves, Pedro to Mark Gu and Reinders to Bruno next week, I think that's a good move for Game Week 13. And then you could probably do Tarkowski to Van Dijk all together as well.
Yeah, I think don't take João Pedro out ahead of Burnley.
Yeah, you'll regret that.
I think do them in 13.
How many has he scored? He's scored 2 in 2 weeks, hasn't he? In relatively easier fixtures, yeah. Cool. That was it for our questions. Anything else you wanted to cover?
No, I think that's everything from me, mate. All good.
Awesome. And yeah, just thank you everyone for tuning in live. Like we said, we made a decision to make this the final one, just to announce that sort of 30-day free trial and get a few more in the group before we put it behind the paywall. But this will be the last FPL Cartel pod that goes live to the public. So make sure to leave a like rating on your way out. I'll set a collaboration with yourself, Tom. So hopefully the stream should appear on both of our channels. So if you're watching on both of our channels or one of our channels, it doesn't really matter. Please leave a like rating on the stream. And yeah, we'll see you in the FPL Cartel if you choose to join. Cheers, everyone.